Sean Strickland versus Brendan Allen. We got minus 150 on Sean Strickland and plus 120 on Brendan Allen. And this fight came together pretty much on very short notice. Obviously, this card has been taking a ton of hits, and the UFC is just looking for any which way they can go about, saving the card as much as they can. And on one day alone, like literally the day I dropped my podcast, they decided to go out there and announce two fights. So we got Brendan Allen and Strickland, and they obviously got the main event put together as well with Paul Felder stepping in on short notice. So, but regarding the Sean Strickland fight, this is an interesting one because we saw him away from the game for so long, and now he comes in, beats Jack Marshman a couple weeks ago. Let's get the actual date on that so we can talk about specifics here. But he beat him on Halloween, October 31st, and 2 weeks later he gets a quick turnaround, and now he's fighting Brendan Allen. And I believe after the Marshman fight, he was even like pounding his chest and saying, all right, keep bringing them on, let's make up for lost time, as he was out for roughly 2 years before taking that Jack Marshman fight. And now here he is trying to get two fights in fucking 2 weeks. So, good luck for him in terms of trying to stay busy. And luckily, the dice rolled the way that they did, so that Brendan Allen was able to take the Sean Strickland fight. As we all know, he was supposed to fight Ian Heinisch last week, and Heinisch pulled out the day of the fight due to COVID. So that was unfortunate for Heinisch, but luckily for Brendan Allen and Sean Strickland, they get to get a quick turn and right back in the cage. So once again, like I said, let's start off with Sean Strickland, and that's a fight where his fight with Jack Marshman, his comeback fight. A lot of people had questions about his durability, what his knees were going to look like, especially after that horrific motorcycle accident he had or something. A lot of people didn't believe he was going to be able to come back and still implement the game that he did, and he did it to perfection. My only issue is I wish that he went for takedowns in that fight, as I believe that was a much easier path to victory for him to take this fight to the ground, show off his brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and get the fight over with quickly. However, he goes out there and just, outstrikes Jack Marshman for 15 minutes. And you got to give it up to Jack Marshman in terms of his durability. The guy is he's durable. Like, his chin could definitely take shots, but his weakness is definitely the ground game. And that's where Sean Strickland easily could have exploited him. But Sean Strickland goes out there and is happy with, going out there and outputting him for 15 minutes. And he did hit him with a couple big shots, and Jack Marshman just would not fall. Just as Sean Strickland was screaming in the cage, "Why won't you fall, Jack? Why won't you fall?" Big ups to Jack Marshman for being able to take that type of damage. And Sean Strickland showing that he still got it. He was on point. He did eat a couple shots from Jack Marshman, but if anything, that just kind of helps us remember that, okay, Sean Strickland does have a decent chin. Again, that Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos knockout, that was a knockout that, like, if you don't see a punch coming or a kick coming or a heel coming, more often than not, you're going to get put out by it. And I think that Strickland was really, he was content in knowing that he thought he was going to block it by just putting his hands up, but little did he know that Zaleski's heel specifically would hit the back of his head, and then it kind of just throws him off balance, and he gets followed up with some ground and pound there. So unfortunate loss there, but he came back in the Taleb fight, second round ground and pound, and then obviously this Jack Marshman fight from a couple weeks ago where he just looks completely on point. And now I think this is a great fight for him with Brendan Allen, and a fight where I do believe he's going to have the advantage on the feet, but I do believe that at a certain point, this fight might get dragged to the ground. And I think his brown belt will be able to hold up to whatever Brendan Allen throws at him, who seems to be a little bit more of an aggressive offensive jiu-jitsu player than most of what Strickland has faced in the past. It does concern me a little bit with Sean Strickland holding up his chin as high as he does for a tall fighter. It's kind of like that tall man defense, but he gets away with it. He's one of the more crisper and more technical guys when it comes to the striking realm, especially, with the tall man defense. He does a decent job of, getting out of the range. Brendan Allen is going to be an inch taller than him, so he's going to have to be a little bit more careful, but I'm not really sold on Brendan Allen as a striker. He's a good all-around fighter. Obviously, his best work comes from when he's on the ground. But it's a great fight. I'm very happy they put it together, and it's at a 195-pound catch weight. So Sean Strickland is able to get an extra 10 pounds. Even Brendan Allen, he cut weight last week, I believe it was, and now he has to cut weight again. But luckily for him, he gets to save an extra 10 pounds. So I think both guys are very, very happy for that, which should help make it a little bit more of a competitive fight. and something that could be fun over 15 minutes. I'm not sure if it'll go the full 15. I could absolutely see Sean Strickland going out there and knocking out Brendan Allen probably the second or third round. But I think Strickland's good enough on the ground to hang there if that's where it actually gets. But I do think he'll do a good job of getting back to his feet and kind of controlling the range with his striking, and that's where it should give Brendan Allen a ton of problems. So I am going to go with Sean Strickland to win this fight. I'll probably say second round KO after Brendan Allen, or second or third round KO after Brendan Allen kind of tires himself out from trying to, getting this fight to the ground, holding him on the ground. I think Strickland will do a good job of keeping that distance the longer this fight goes, and he should be able to land some solid shots from outside. So once and for all, I will be going with Sean Strickland, probably second or third round TKO. And I'm liking the odds that he's currently at too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's minus 150, so not too bad of odds. I'm looking forward to seeing when it drops on the majority of books, and then I'll see if I want to make a play on it. But yeah, I love Strickland in this spot. I love his stand up. Again, the small flaw of the tall man defense, but I think he's one of those guys that can kind of get away with it just because his overall striking game is just so good. So I'm going once and for all. I am going with Sean Strickland to win this fight via second or third round TKO.